Should be going soon. All right. Hi everyone, this is TigerHawk23. I'm going to continue coding the incremental idle clicker that we started earlier this week, and this is part 3. I have a few ideas of things I want to add. First, a bunch of different kinds of buildings to make it more interesting, for which I might need a scroll bar. Scroll bars are not as easy to implement as other widgets, but that's how they work. And some various upgrades. So let's get started on that. Let's see. Okay, how about some stuff to buy first? Let's add buttons for it. Purchase buttons, you know what? I guess in theory, if I wanted, I could have a loop with all these buttons, and then just have it loop through a predefined name and a description, I guess. But then there's a lambda. That's annoying. I guess I'll do that now. Fine, you convinced me. Okay, for name description in this. I need clicker first. Per click %d1. Let's continue that tuple of tuples over here. Click booster. And this. What else have we got? Noob clicker with noob at clicking after the what's it. Nope. How about before the what's it? Then it works. Don't need that. And what else have we got? Gremlin. Can't forget our gremlin. They like clicking. So we're gonna have the gremlin click stuff. That'll complete the tuple. Self.purchase buttons name button parent text equals description mod self.gear name again dot cost. Let's move this into a new line. Parent is this, text is that. Okay, command equals self.purchase name. Now here's a common problem that you'll sometimes find if you have lambdas in a loop that you define. When you define a function like this, the variables in it are bound when you call it. So this can be useful if you want a whole bunch of buttons. Let's see. Let me manufacture an example. Here we are. If you want, if you have a variable that stores the current clicks, for example, and you want a button that will print the current clicks, you would have a command equal lambda, just like I have here, and then print self.currentClicks, and it would simply do that. Whenever you click the button, whatever it is, it would call print and retrieve the value of the current clicks, and you would have something updated like that. But if we do that here, then this name will refer to whatever it is, the most updated one, just like current clicks might be the most updated one. But we don't want that. We want the name that I'm working with right now in this iteration of the loop. So what I have to do there, name equals name. So what that does is it gives the function a default parameter and or a default argument, and what this does is it forces it to be bound when it's defined rather than when it's called. So name equals name. This is the name. This is the variable that will be the reference that will be used in the function to refer to something. And this name is the name over here. If I wanted, I could do lambda x equals name and do x there. And then it would be a name, is what it would get. So that's how you avoid that little problem before it happens. And gremlin, etc. Now I don't need any of this. Nope. Refactored right out of there. Now, how about this? Let's do some more refactoring. Why not? Oh, let's do the following. Let's just add it in over here, because we have clicker. Might as well do everything in the same loop, whatever. If we're going to iterate over it, we might as well use it, right? Use it or lose it is not the way it works. It's use it or have messier code, which is bad. So now we have the name of something, description, and the tip. Self dot. Where's buttons? Here we are. Self dot tooltips equals empty dictionary. I could cram all that into a comprehension, but with this big multi-line stuff, no, I'm not gonna. Self dot tooltips name equals Let's copy this one and we can change it. Self.purchase buttons name with tip. And there we go. Ta-da! Okay, now that we've refactored that into something that didn't change the way the program runs, but it counts, readability is very important. So now whenever I want to add something, I just add its name, its button description, and its tooltip. And that's it, and it'll automatically do everything properly. Do what I mean is a thing in programming. Why won't it do what I mean? Let's see. How about we'll add some stuff? How about? Gremlin, I have a list. goblin. My list only extends as far as the name of the thing, not a description or a tooltip. So we're going to have some creative fun times. How about to provide with clicks %d. I'm going to want to change this this description at some point to have somewhere the current quantity, the cost, and how many clicks per second each thing generates. That's kind of important. %d, we start with 0. A gremlin to click things, the goblin to provide you with clicks. How about goblins click more than gremlins? Maybe I could put that into the tooltip? No, that would be if I put how much they provide base for the tooltip. I guess I could provide these values to the objects themselves, to each gear item. I think I should do that. Who knows? Not yet. I can refactor that later. It's going to be more fun if I add other stuff before fixing that. Yeah, I don't... This is probably not good. That'll bite me eventually. But not yet. Goblins click more than gremlins. Excuse me. Goblin... Oh, now I have a bunch of tools to click. And I start with the primitive tools, like inclined plane. Inclined plane with observe clicks in slow motion. Now what I mean by that is this is the description, not a coding bit. This is something marketing would come up with. But when you don't have marketing yet, you end up with the programmer placeholder values that seemed like a good idea at the time. So, let's see. Inclined plane will do roll some clicks your way. %d, what is that? %d and 0. When scientists were doing experiments with kinematics back in the day, it's kind of hard to measure the effects of gravity by just dropping something, because it happens really fast. But if you have an inclined plane, it just slows down like a ramp. So then it rolls. It has the same general idea as dropping something, but it happens more slowly. So that was very useful in conducting experiments about the Earth's gravitational pull. Yay! inclined plane, a pulley. How about pull some clicks to you? I don't know. And force multiplier is what it does. If you move a certain distance to cause something else to move a shorter distance, then you have a force multiplier. That's what that does. Simple machines, pull some clicks to you. Not frictionless. If you have a physics model of a pulley, the basic implementation of it, that, you know, assume a spherical cow sort of thing, is that the rope just slides around the circumference of the pulley without turning it. Because if the pulley does have to actually turn like a pulley would do, then you have the inertia of the pulley. If you have a heavy wheel or something, you want to turn it, that's something you have to move. So that's part of it. Lever. Price some clicks up. Start with 0. I think it was Archimedes. Give me a lever and a place to stand and I can move the world. Is it Archimedes? Give me a lever. Google says yes. And wedge. How about stuff some extra clicks in there. Press ND0. Now a wedge, assuming you have something that is taller than it is wide, when you move it downward along its tall axis, the height, it moves down a certain distance and gets wider by less than that distance. So you have another force multiplier. That's how axes work. That you have to move like some length of an axe and it only goes like this much. It only splits the thing that big. That's how that works. Can I ask you a question? Yep, I went there. Any more? One more to show that I don't just have simple machines. Elbow grease. Click the old-fashioned way. Wait, is this the... Oh yeah, that's the quantity. Cost will be later. Oops. We should probably define those. Come up with cost. That'll be another fun thing to do. Surprisingly easy, because it's a building and it auto clicks for you. Okay. Then I have like steam-powered clicker and coal-fired clicker, all manner of things. But that's enough for now, because I've still got to, do stuff. Self.gear goblin equals gear of goblin. These things should definitely be stored in the object. That's okay. I'll do it later. Later will be when I finish inputting these goblin, things. Goblin is going to be 200 per second equals divided by 10 would be 20. How about 30? Self.gear inclined plane equals a gear of inclined plane. There's more. This is going to be how much? About 500. And divide by 10, add 50%, and then some more. So it should be more than 75. About 125? 124, just because. No. Self.gear plea. What I'm trying to do is increase the efficiency of each subsequent building, so that there's a reason to buy those instead of the previous object, but have a larger cost. So they do have to buy some of the object, probably. In these games, you can generally maybe skip a building or two and just jump to the next one sometimes. But the idea is just buy one. It's good. You want it. Gear pulley is going to be 2,000. That's a quarter efficiency. So how about inclined plane is a quarter efficiency. Quarter here would be 500. How about 750? I don't know what appropriate numbers would be for this sort of thing. Self.gear lever equals gear lever 10,000. Let's do that instead of going 2525. Whatever. I don't know. What is 750? That's what, 2 and a bit? 2 2/3. Divide by 2 2/3. Let's just say 3. Start there. 333. No, 3,330. 3.33 would be a third. Anyway, more than 3,300. Let's go with 5,000. I don't know. I don't know. First, we were spending 15 clicks per click per second, and now we're only at 2 clicks per click per second. I don't know what the number should be. That's okay. Self.gear wedge equals gear wedge, and that'll be 50,000. More than half, 125. How about, let's actually make this a ton more expensive. 500,000. Okay. And that's more than half, so more than 250,000. Let's go 100,000. So that's more than 50K. About 75K. K? Okay. One more elbow grease, and then I do more refactoring. Notice how I haven't added any features yet, but I'm making the program better by adding content and refactoring for tidiness. Readability counts. That's part of Python. Elbow grease. 500,000. And half of that would be 250, then 375. How about 500,000? So now we're at a 1-to-1 ratio. You spend this many clicks, and you get that many per second. That earns it back in 1 second. Is that a bit much? I don't know, and I don't care yet. But making it back in 1 second is probably overdoing it. So, I want a little bit, but not this thing. Okay. Okay, so that's the name that we need, and the cost. And we will need the description and the tooltip. Name, description, tooltip. Let's hard code it to the the empty one again, right? That was fun last time, remember? Why is it always 0? I don't know. 5-10 minutes of debugging later. Oh. If you have ever seen the movie Terminator 2, Judgment Day, that's good. It's a great movie. If you have not, and you plan to do anything involving software development or programming or working with computers at all in the slightest, you need to watch that movie because it involves computers doing what computers do. There is one scene in which the Terminator, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, is lifting John Connor by the shirt. Well, no. He's just holding John Connor, and John is getting very angry. And so eventually he screams, "Let me go!" And immediately, Terminator goes boop, and John falls on the ground. And John is displeased at that he wasn't, put down first. He said, "Why did you do that?" And Terminator says, "Because you told me to." Because he's run by a computer. If you tell it to do something, it will do it, if it can. So anytime you're wondering, why did the computer do this? Because at some point, somewhere, someone told it to. That only really applies to software, I guess. Hardware is whatever can happen. You can have an actual bug. Like, why is my CPU fan not spinning? Because you left the side of your case off, and a fly flew into it, and now there's a bug in your computer, literally. Right? That's bad. So yeah, because you told me to. Whenever you're wondering why a computer did that stupid thing, because you told me to. Yeah. Okay. Name, description, tooltip, and then cost. I should be able to do this. I'll grab this comma, name, description, and tooltip. No, don't need that. Grab this comma. I will be possibly breaking those up into multiple lines. They're getting a little long, 137, 138 columns. 120 is reasonable. Remember, 80 is the standard width. 100 and 120 are both fine and acceptable these days. 140 is starting to get a little wacky. If someone looks at your code and calls it wacky, that is bad. The result can be wacky. What if it's a game? Then you totally want it wacky. But if someone looks at your code and goes, "Oh my god!" that means you did something terribly wrong. Most likely. Keep in mind, the person who looks at your code and recoils in horror could be you. This is wrong. There. The dangers of copy-paste. If you've been watching my other Python streams, you've seen me have copy-paste issues before, where I do something and then copy-paste it, and then the original had a problem, and then I fix that, and it's like, it still doesn't work, because I didn't fix the one I copy-pasted. So, should I change this? 150, I think I'll leave it at that. Okay, so now what I do is name description tip in for gear in self.gears. Check it out. I forgot the colon. I have all these things. Click per click. Multiplicator gear booster doubles. New bit clicking. A gremlin click things. A goblin. Roll some clicks. Pull some clicks. Pry some clicks. Stuff some extra clicks in there. Click the old-fashioned way. Surprisingly easy. Okay. And we'll make that a colon for gear and self.gears. Now we no longer have the name, description, and tip. So we will have to do the following. Gear.name, gear.description, gear.name, gear.name, gear.tip. Make sure I don't have any other hangers on. I do. Ear.name, the left one. For gear and self.gears. Self.gear is the name, not gears. How many self.building do I have? What is this? What's going on here? Do I never use that? Strange. It's nowhere. So okay then. Maybe that was when I had separate upgrades and buildings or something. Okay, very tidy. I have the parent, purchase buttons, tooltips, and gear. Do I even need a separate tooltips thing? I think you can just store the tooltip in the thing. Gear.tooltip equals, and just put it in there later. That's fine. So I have the tip and the tooltip. The tip will be the text of it, and the tooltip is going to be the actual object, which is called a tip. Not super clear. I don't like that. But what you're going to do, right? Anything you want, because why did you do that? Because you told me to. For gear and self.gear, self.purchase buttons, gear name gets a button Do I refer to purchase buttons a lot? I sort of do. Yeah, because I keep on wanting to configure it. I could store all the buttons with the gear, so it would each have its own button. Fine. Fine. Gear. No, not yet. That's going to require a whole bunch of refactoring stuff. Tip for this we did with that tip, etc. Self.purchase buttons name. It would just be self.gear name dot button. Self.gear name dot button. Gear name dot button. Not actually complicated. Let's just do that. Gear dot name. Nope. Gear dot button equals a button with all this stuff. Gear dot tooltip equals tip on gear dot button. That looks a little better. We're not going to need this. It's going to be gone. Actually, let's keep it there so we can search for things later, like over there. Self dot gear name dot button. Let's grab this thing again. Ooh, a bunch. By a bunch, I mean 3. 3 is fine. Okay, self dot gear name dot button. That's the button for the thing. Self dot gear name dot button. Self dot gear name dot button. Okay. Where's Dealey? Nowhere. You're going nowhere. Okay. So now I have a bunch of stuff that is hard-coded basically into the gear that we need to start. We need to initialize each gear with certain things: the name, the description, the tooltip, the cost, and some optional stuff. Well, not optional, but things that may not make sense for it. So I'll have default values of 0. And then I initialize them as such as necessary, and then the cost, description, tip, cost, with a limit and a quantity, no limit, or has a limit, not a quantity, has per second, etc. Very good. Cool. Did I not enter per second? That'll be quantity, won't it? Look how big it's getting. I don't think so. No good. No bueno. So we do this. Ah, more lines. Oh no. That's fine. Assuming I can select what I want to select. Okay. If I were, I currently have the Notepad++ window being a little smaller than full screen. It's more or less 720p resolution-ish, because it has text in here, and I want that to be visible on more than just 1920 by 1080. But if I had, I can show you what it does. 1920 by 1080. So you see it's quite a bit smaller. That's what I usually do. This will look fine if you're viewing this at 1920 by 1080. So if I was doing that, I might let it slide and have some longish lines, but I'm not. So this is probably better. Okay, what was I doing? What was I changing? Oh yes, there's a reason for this. Per second. Cost per second, per second, per second, per second. Okay. Great. Maybe before next time I can look up some costs and efficiencies in Cookie Clicker or something, and maybe they have like next building costs 100 times as much as the previous instead of like 10 times or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too generous with more stuff. I have no idea. Or maybe the costs are too low. Numbers. Parent. Don't need all that space. Text is this, command is that. Because remember I had like a bunch of stuff for the button. Gear dot description is shorter. It's good. We have a button and we have a tip that's attached to the button and has a tip of gear.tip. Beautiful. Look at that. Very delightful. So some things may be initialized with a gear item, and the button widget and the tooltip widget are added later. Cool. I'm happy about that. I like that. Manual row, auto row. Blah blah blah. All this is pretty much the same. I already changed this refactoring. Self.gear name, self.gear name. Purchase one of these. For gear and gear values. Add the thing. Okay. Save, 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 save. Yes. Oh my god, access the hard drive. I can't do that. Okay, saved. Now let's turn on the command prompt and run py clicker.py. How much you want to bet is broken? Somewhere. Yeah. String object text equals gear 42 in it. Gear dot button for gear and self dot gear. Oh. Oh, that's a dictionary. Her. That's better. It'll go through the values and do the appropriate thing. Now the gear is an actual gear object rather than, well, everything's an object, but it's an object of class gear rather than a string, because if you iterate through a dictionary, you get the keys. I've had that problem before in this program. That's okay. Local variable name, where is that? Oh yeah, I didn't, gear.name. It's okay, refactoring happens. Gear doesn't have a tip. For real? I guess it doesn't. Oh, because it's tooltip. And then I changed the tooltip. Oh, that's bad. New tip. He. Because I have the tip for the text and the tip that's the actual widget, and the tip is going to be the text and the tooltip is the widget. Nice and complicated. All right. actually ran. Amazing, huh? Yeah, but no syntax errors, so that's cool. It's just some refactoring stuff. All right, can't buy any of these. Not getting any errors in the console. Click the button. Let's get 20. Now I get 3 each time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm gonna need some clicks to buy stuff with. I think this is still reasonable. Oh, I don't have enough. Oh, I forgot the doubler. Yeah. Cannot afford. Great success. 5. Okay. I maxed out on the doublers. And I can't... I don't have... Oh, goodness. Now I have 20. So that's many clicks. Handle it. Very good. With a multiplier of 2 to the 5th. Great. Okay. Now, I buy a new bit clicking. The tooltips are working. Doesn't show in this thing because it's technically like a separate window-ish deal. I don't know. But doesn't show all of them. Okay. All right. I buy one of these, and I get 1 per second. I buy one of those, and it doesn't say how many per second, but I think it's 5. 3, 4, 5. And I'm getting 6 each time. And then I'm getting more. I don't know how many I'm getting per click, but it seems like 35-ish. Probably 36, because I had 1 and 5, and now 30. Now I'm gonna buy one of these for even more. How much is that doing? About 660 per second? No, 160 per second. Yeah, 125 and 30 is 155, 161. Great. And 160 plus 750 is 900-ish. So it should be a little less than 1,000 when I buy one of these. 350, 260, yeah. And then it should be 6,000-ish. 35, 41, good, 6,000. Oh, I need 100,000 of that. That's more. Okay. 100,000, and that should be giving me 75,000, which is a huge jump. It's about right. It should be 80 something. Is that a little too fast for me to follow? Maybe I should add a per second counter, huh? That's an idea. What number is this? Stuff some extra clicks in there. Oh, I already have one because I bought it. Right. And then 500,000, and I have 2 million. Okay. Can definitely afford that. And now I'm getting a crap ton of clicks per etc. So, yes, quite. It is slowly getting more expensive. I may want to do some formatting on this number, because right now it's a little hard to parse, not so human readable with no separators. The comma in the United States and similar regions, and the dot in others. But that works. We 50 minutes. So yeah, that's pretty good. I think I will skip the scroll bar for today. Today we just had a lot of refactoring and new content. But let me add formatting for current clicks, my to-do list for next time. And then what else will I need? Oh, list clicks per second somewhere. Probably the base. Then it won't have to change in the tooltip. And I can easily format that in, actually. Yeah, I can easily format that in. Let me get rid of this. Get rid of that. I can just gear.tip, and I can make each tip have the base per second. Plus round, etc. Gear.tip. Plus, don't even need to format it. Gear.cost. It's a number, so I actually want these here. %d %gear.cost. Let me just run that real quick, make sure it works. No, that's cost, not the per second. Why did I put cost in there? Per second. There we go. Very good. Okay. 750 /s. One more time with the testing. Just a little change. Now I can see the base cost, or the base per second value in the tooltip. Great. Easy, aren't we glad we refactored? Yes, yes we are. I already did that. Scroll bar. Formatting for current clicks, we'll need that. I think that's good for now, actually. Alright, so maybe next time I will add a scroll bar for current clicks. I will add a scroll bar, because I intend there to be many things to buy. And a formatting of some kind for the current clicks. And maybe some other stuff, depending on what I get to. More content. Gotta have that steam-powered clicker. So, yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. I will have more of this starting next week, I think. Because I alternate Python and playing a game. So, yeah, thanks for joining me. And I will see you next time. I'm going to end the stream now. Have a good one.